Hello and welcome to page 10 IVM's Current Affairs podcast. Our usual host Abbas Momin has his happy birthday. So he's out there having wild times somewhere. I imagine him in a disco, dancing away to glory, doing drugs and alcohol and whatever else he does. So happy birthday to Abbas. So I'm taking over his job today as host. Today is the 27th of March when we are recording this. And if you are someone who has heard this podcast before, then you know what this is about. If you are someone who is listening to it for the first time, we take some stories from the last week and we have a healthy discussion about it. And without further ado, the first story comes from Nikhil.
Hello. Firstly, I'm
Take
Nikhil.
second.
Yeah.
I forgot to introduce the panel.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, panel.
Hello, fellow
panel.
panelists.
Hello. I'm Meghnad. I'm in Delhi.
Yes.
Hi.
He is Karan. He is in Mumbai. And I am Nikhil.
Yes.
I am also in Mumbai.
In Mumbai. So Karan is a colleague, Nikhil is a colleague, and they will read the news for you and
Yes.
we will have a healthy discussion about it. Go, Nikhil.
I never thought I'd miss Abbas on a podcast. But I do today. Okay, anyways. So my story comes from the heart of India, Uttar Pradesh. So in the news recently, you must have seen a name pop up several times. That is Atiq Ahmed. This guy, who's the current MLA from the Samajwadi Party and an ex-MP, a member of parliament, also from Samajwadi Party, is in news for a crime that happened in 2006. The crime was of the abduction and kidnapping of Umesh Pal, one of the witnesses in another murder case charged on the same guy, Atiq Ahmed, of Rajesh Pal. So Rajesh Pal's death first happens, then Umesh Pal is a witness in that case, and in order to stop him from going in the court and, putting up his case and putting up his point, Atiq Ahmed kidnaps him, makes him sign in Hindi what they call a halafnama, which I think is a testimonial. And so essentially, that was the case. And why is it in news now is because Umesh Pal was also a victim to a murder. Very recently, he was also murdered just a few days ago before he could be presented in front of the court. And today, that is on the day of recording, that is 27th March, Atiq Ahmed is to be presented in front of the court in Prayagraj, along with everybody else that was accused in the case. That is 10 other people, along with Atiq Ahmed, were charged with the same crime, and they are all to be presented in the court in Prayagraj today. Now, what's interesting is we've all also heard of another name called Vikas Dubey, and we've seen what fate had in store, or I'll just say what fate had in store.
Please tell what fate, yes.
Fate, or also known as the government of fate had in store for him was he was being transported from one jail to another, and on the convoy's way, there was an accident in which the vehicle that he was in flipped on its head, which led sadly to the casualty, and Vikas Dubey lost his life. Vikas Dubey, also a gangster from Uttar Pradesh, if I forgot to mention that, and in case you have been living under a rock and did not know about who Vikas Dubey was. So that's the reason Atiq Ahmed is in news today, is because his convoy is being taken from Sabarmati jail in Gujarat to Prayagraj, where the court is in Uttar Pradesh, through Gujarat, through Madhya Pradesh, and then on to Uttar Pradesh, Prayagraj. So again, given what happened to Vikas Dubey, there has been a lot of speculations around what will happen to Atiq Ahmed as well, and the probability of another casual accident on the way. So that's why Atiq Ahmed is in news today, and a video has gone viral where people were caught saying ki program malum hai, basically, as Atiq Ahmed passes through Madhya Pradesh and onto Uttar Pradesh, and which has caused a media frenzy. Of course, the most important news of the day is how Mr. Atiq completes his journey from Sabarmati till Prayagraj, because that's the greatest issue of national interest, and nothing else matters as much as the life of a gangster who is accused of double murders and over 100 other cases. By the way, he has 102 accusations against him, and this guy still is an MLA. So there is that. But besides that, I'll give you a few quick details about the case, right? Just from the starting. So firstly, in 2006, Raju Pal Hatyakand happened in Uttar Pradesh, and Umesh Pal, as I mentioned, was a witness in the case. In 2006, Umesh Pal was abducted and kidnapped, apparently by Atiq Ahmed, at least that's the claim that's being made, and he was made to sign a testimonial which basically clears the name of Atiq Ahmed, and the accusation does not go to Atiq's name. But in 2007, when the Uttar Pradesh state government changed and BSP government came came into power. Umesh actually went on to file a case against Atiq, mentioning that he was abducted and he was kidnapped and that he was made to sign a false testimonial. So that's the case that is happening right now. Other than that, I'll quickly go over a few details of the case, just so we are all on the same page. So 25th January 2005, a guy called Raju Pal, who was also an MLA, or I think an MLC, member of the Legislative Council, from Sulaim Sarai, was murdered in 2005, and Umesh Pal was one of the prime witnesses in the said case. And on 28th of February 2006, Umesh Pal was kidnapped and abducted and taken to a office state which is located in Karbala, also in Uttar Pradesh, where he was beaten up for the entire night, and then his sign was taken on a pre-created testimonial, which essentially just says that he was not present at the site of the murder and that he was not valid witness for the case. And the next day, Atiq Ahmed, the prime accused, put up this testimonial in front of the court and got his name cleared from the case. But then in 2007, the government changes in Uttar Pradesh and the BSP government now comes into power. And so on 5th July 2007, Umesh Pal files an FIR against Atiq Ahmed, Ashraf Ahmed, and the other goons, Ashraf Ahmed, by the way, the brother, and other goons that were other 8 people that were also involved in the kidnapping, and said that, he was falsely abducted and he was made to forcefully sign a testimonial just to clear the name. And before this could happen, before he could go in front of the court, Umesh Pal was also murdered by the same people, which is a case जिसमें अभी भी आगे details आने बाकी है. Like that is a case that.
When was he murdered?
He was
what year?
24 February 2007. Umesh was also murdered. So 28 February 2006, he was abducted, and 24 February 2007, he was also murdered in the case. So yeah, that's why Atiq Ahmed largely is in news right now, due to his great travels from the state of Gujarat to the state of Uttar Pradesh. And funny thing is, all 3 states are ruled by the same dearest party of all, and so. Which is also, I don't know why is it a cause of concern, but it most certainly looks like it is, at least based on what the media is covering. Like, we have people covering videos like Atiq Ahmed ka convoy ruka because he had to take a leak, and then there's exclusive footage of Atiq Ahmed taking a leak. If I can find the link, if I can find the link if I can find the link, I'll put it in the description below, where you guys can also see the glorious Atiq Ahmed just standing near what seems to be just an off-road, जहाँ पे वो सिर्फ खड़ा रह के सुसु कर रहा है. I'm watching the video right now, which is, I didn't know I needed this news, but I did, apparently.
It was like I was watching that clip, like which was posted. Aaj Tak, I think, did this coverage where this reporter is like, देखिए convoy रुक गया है, देखिए रुक गया है. So basically the anticipation there is that अब ये पलटेगा, अब इसको मारेंगे.
And the amount of people that are employed there, like just police force तो है ही, मीडिया के लोग इतने जमा कर दिए उधर उन लोगों ने कि कुछ ना कुछ कैजुअलिटी मीडिया के लोगों का हो जाएगा उधर.
इतना weird coverage हो रहा है, because I mean, think about it, it's such an ironic situation where some random BJP MLA made a comment कि हाँ program पता है,
yes,
or whatever, which is like whatever random statement, and then media is like, हाँ अरे इसको तो मरवाने वाले, चलो cover करते हैं कैसे मारेंगे इसको. So then they like पलटन लग गई इसके पीछे, because definitely अब तो सब मीडिया देख रहा है, तो फिर अभी definitely तो पुलिस अब पलटाएगा. Like that is the expectation there somehow, कि if the convoy is stopping, देखो अब कुछ तो भी होने वाला है. I mean, how stupid is this?
Subrat Pathak, who is the sitting MP in Lok Sabha from the BJP, has mentioned that he would not be surprised if Mafia Atiq Ahmed's vehicle overturns like that of gangster Vikas Dubey.
Oh my god. and the thing is, I remember this when Vikas Dubey ka case had happened, right? Same thing. I think he was arrested in Madhya Pradesh and he was being taken to UP.
Yeah.
And beach mein, so there is this thing where Twitter pe at least, where everybody was like, हाँ इसको तो मरवाने वाले, मरवा दिया उसको. मतलब basically allegedly मरवा दिया उसको.
Oh, it was an
accident हुआ है guys. Allegedly
नहीं, accident हुआ है. Accident ही हुआ है.
Allegedly मरवाया है. Accident actually हुआ है. True. Thank you, Nikhil, for saving my ass. So basically the thing is that everybody was somehow expecting this to happen, this accident to happen, and it happened, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody's like, हाँ script तो पता है सबको, this is how it happens, etc. Right?
Yeah.
उसका escalation हुआ अभी basically,
Yeah.
which is essentially तब कोई पीछा नहीं कर रहा था उसका, कोई वो कॉन्वॉय का पीछा वगैरह हो नहीं रहा था. अभी मीडिया इज लाइक, अच्छा हमको पता है क्या होने वाला है, so let's just follow it, see it happen.
Yeah. It's almost
And
like
it's
तभी speculation हो रहा था, अभी anticipation हो रहा है कि कब होएगा. We are ready with our cameras. Like,
Exactly.
everybody is expecting
Precisely.
it now. So,
and that's the thing, and that's why every time the convoy is stopping, I think there are like 2-3 instances of this happening. One is him taking a leak.
yeah.
The other time was, I think they were trying to fill a petrol
Petrol pump पे, yeah,
रुके थे
petrol
या
pump
कुछ
पे
तो
रुकी
भी.
थी एक जगह पे.
वहां पे भी breathless breaking news, कॉन्वॉय रुक गया है, देखो क्या हो रहा है, देखो क्या हो रहा है, पेट्रोल भर के दे वेंट फॉरवर्ड. इट्स लाइक,
And like, what do you guys think? इतना कैमरा रहेगा तो मतलब इतना तो उनको भी अक्ल है. ऐसे थोड़ी ना होगा कि पेट्रोल पंप पे रुका के, like let's make it extremely memorable. पेट्रोल पंप पे रुका के एक्सीडेंट करेगा, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होने वाला है.
It's great TRP.
It is.
Must say.
It's
great
because
TRP.
It's our version of like, you know, the chases that happen in the US, जैसे OJ Simpson वगैरह का हुआ था. We don't get those
high speed chases.
हाँ, वो इंडिया में हो नहीं सकता बिकॉज ट्रैफिक और रास्ते भी खराबी है, तो वो इंडिया में नहीं हो सकता. सो दिस इज आवर वर्जन ऑफ दैट.
स्पीड ब्रेकर पे जाने के लिए रुकना पड़ेगा.
वो 30 पे चल रहा है, ये पीछे 25 पे चल रहा है, क्या मजा आएगा उसको देखने में. सो वो तो अनलाइकली है, वो तो होने से रहा. विल नेवर हैव लाइक हाई स्पीड चेज एंड शिट टू कवर. तो दिस आई थिंक फिल्स अप वेल फॉर दैट कि थोड़ा बहुत दिखाने को हो जाता है. एंड व्हाट्स स्कैरी अबाउट दिस, एटलीस्ट टू मी, इज हाउ ओके पीपल हैव बिकम विद लाइक दिस alternate justice kind of a system. No, like I'm not justifying anything that Atiq did or something like that.
Hyderabad gang rape के time पे भी हुआ था this. Remember where like the
because it happened a little after the Vikas Dubey thing happened, so people, it was still fresh in people's minds. So they were like, इसको भी वैसा ही justice मिलना चाहिए.
इसको भी मरवा दो basically.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what people were saying.
So let's not wait for the judiciary to take its turn. Yeah, और उनका फिर encounter कर दिया. But like
तो extrajudicial killing, everybody's like, हाँ मस्त करो, TRP मिलेगा.
I mean, yeah, nobody is justifying what Atiq Ahmed is. He's a criminal and he deserves to be persecuted and all of that. I fully on board with that. Nobody here is saying कि Atiq Ahmed ने कुछ गलत किया और he is innocent. वो सवाल ही नहीं है. वो है, he has a lot of cases against him to call him a criminal. He's himself accepted so many times in public, like carrying out weapons and all of that. So there's no shame in, like there's no way around it, the fact that he is a criminal.
Right.
But I think the desensitization जो हो रहा है लोगों का from the criminal justice system कि they know for a fact nowadays कि कुछ नहीं निकलने वाला है इसमें से, and they will just somehow figure their way out of this if this goes to the courts. And उसके वजह से I think people are more desensitized towards extrajudicial killings and they don't actually see it as killings, they see it as justice. Now it's a little conflicting. I would like to know what both of you guys think about it. To what extent is this feeling justifiable? Because nahi hi mil raha hai. There's no way, there's no, running around the fact ki nahi hai. India ka justice system is not the best in the world. Like it is a fact that it takes a lot of time. It is a fact that most likely these people will get away with it because they have gotten 2007 में हुआ था murder, 2023 चल रहा है. It's gotten away from it for 26 years now. तो 16 years now. But who's to say कि वो फिर से नहीं होगा. फुली पॉसिबल, फिर से हो ही सकता है, कोई उसमें देयर इज नो स्पेकुलेशन देयर. बट व्हाट डू यू गाइस थिंक, इज टू व्हाट एक्सटेंट इज दिस जस्टिफाइबल?
Karan?
I don't know, man. I see, usually cases like this generally do take so long. Sorry to take another turn over here. I just want to know, why was he in Sabarmati jail?
He must have absconded from UP, no? FIR होगा उसके नाम पे.
But he was transported to Sabarmati jail.
So he got arrested in Sabarmati.
Oh, he got arrested in Sabarmati,
and then put in the local jail and now being taken.
But he's been prosecuted in Prayagraj.
Yeah.
Wow.
Prayagraj, yeah.
So they got जैसे overseas में करते हैं extradition cases. वैसा है, in a way it's like that he was in Sabarmati, that's where he got arrested.
Correct.
He was put in the local jail for some time and now he's being transported.
Is he from dearest party?
He's from the Samajwadi Party.
Ah, okay. Then I don't know. then it's anybody's guess.
But that's I think a marker of desensitization of the justice system
Yeah.
also, right? Which is
Yeah.
what Karan, this expression of then I don't know, SP se hai, pata nahi kya ho sakta. You know, that's I think it's a very legit question, Nikhil, because I mean, extrajudicial killings is one side, which is like, you know, completely
Yeah.
like bloodlust, which is
Yeah.
on display, which people want like instant justice, right? One of the big things why Yogi had come to power is this, which is law and order, right?
Yeah.
Because Yogi ji to instant justice dete hai, bulldozer raj chal raha hai,
Yeah.
and people actually like it in UP.
Yeah.
I've
They
seen
do.
it on
I
the
mean,
ground.
yeah,
Like,
it feels
Yeah.
like that yeah, law and order
no,
has been one of the...
I know, I have seen it with my own eyes when people, even Muslims, young Muslims, they are saying कि हाँ अच्छा तो कर रहे हैं, like यहाँ पे एक गुंडा रहा करता था, उसको उड़ा दिया, and now everybody is happy and everybody is safe. यहाँ पे street light लगने लगे हैं, like everybody feels safe. So this is actually happening in
Yeah.
UP.
Just
right?
a small anecdote here, unrelated, but I don't know if it is related. So in the 1930s, when the Nazi party came into power, one of the first things that they did was extreme cleanups. Like वो रास्ते पे cleanup करते थे, mass detergents निकाल के रास्ते साफ करना, लोगों के घर साफ करना, you know, creating awareness about cleanliness and all of that. Anyways, yeah, you were saying, Meghnad.
Oh, really?
That was
happened?
random.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
समझ जाएगा लोगों को. I'm hoping people will get-
Invoking the Nazis because they were cleaning the streets.
Yeah, so like that was one of the first things that they were doing is massive amounts of cleanings.
really?
And yeah,
Oh, even
they
I
were
didn't know
exterminating rodents and all of that. So that was one of their first stamps ki when they won
Excellent.
yeah,
Swachh Germany abhiyan.
Swachh Germany.
Unrelated,
but
God,
yeah.
shit. No, not good.
I'm not going anywhere. I'm just it's an anecdote.
Like, you're already going down a risky path. Now you brought Nazi Germany into this.
I'm not saying
Matlab-
I'm not saying
But
anything.
I'm trying to say, what I'm trying to say is that this whole feeling of instant justice, which is existing in UP and a bunch of places in India right now, is of course because A, of impatience with the justice system, B, this whole thing about party changing, which you mentioned, na, ki, जैसे for example, abhi the thing that Karan said, right, कि you know, अरे dearest party से या फिर SP से. Now you know that BJP is in power, so like cases जो अब actively काम करेंगे वो सब opposition के खिलाफ
Opposition
होंगे,
prosecution
yeah.
होगा था उनमें.
yeah, which is Samajwadi Party, BSP,
All of them.
anyone else who is
Yeah.
like whatever
Whatever
Congress.
remains of Congress. Yeah.
Yeah, when either of them come to power, फिर बीजेपी की बात लगाएंगे वो
Yeah.
लोग. Basically फिर उनके MLAs के खिलाफ केसेस शुरू हो जाएंगे, जो भी हो जाएगा.
Yeah.
Same thing is happening in West Bengal, which is basically TMC power में. So then like the central agencies are after the TMC people, but TMC internally is after CPIM. You know, like वहाँ के भी लोगों के पीछे जो भी उनके opposition है उनके against, they are basically fast tracking
Yeah.
whatever.
Even in
judgments,
Maharashtra.
courts, जो भी है, सब जगह पे.
Yeah.
And the best way to look at this is that sure you can blame the courts, right, which is like pendency बहुत ज्यादा है etc. But I think यहाँ पे सबसे ज्यादा blame जाता है पुलिस पे, like the investigating agency, because the thing is the reason why this happens is also because जब power change होता है party का, so all the cases that were being worked on before they go on a pause.
Yeah.
And new cases start, right? So the investigation completely focus shifts, right? So फिर evidence अगर इधर आना शुरू हो गया, so then they take it to court. So then the court starts acting on it. So if there is like constant government change, which has happened in UP, right, since forever, right, which is SP, BSP, SP, BSP, and now BJP, etc.
yeah.
So which means that the focus of the investigation agencies kept shifting from every other period of power.
Yeah.
And therefore, they were not able to sort of bring cases against anyone. So maybe Atiq fellow,
Yeah.
Atiq Ahmed was a beneficiary of this system, right? Which is essentially investigating agencies not being able to look at his case for too long or collect evidences. And ऐसे incident फिर होते रहेंगे बीच-बीच में कि murder हो गया, kidnapping हो गया, फिर witnessing भाग गया, whatever, right? So this also like sort of adds to the desensitization a little bit कि the police is completely under the control of the party in power and there is no independence per se.
There's no autonomy.
But
Yeah.
There's no autonomy. So one good way to look at this in a larger way is to figure out how to give autonomy to actual law enforcement agencies, right? Ki they don't have to basically depend on a politician or whatever for their personal career benefit or like their work. So that is one way. I think that is a larger conversation that needs to be had.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so we'll see what happens and we'll keep you guys posted.
When is the hearing supposed to be?
It's today.
Oh, it's today.
Yeah, so that's why the live streaming, no, that's why he was brought in entire night yesterday and apparently did not sleep for the whole night.
I'm sure.
I don't know who, किसने बताया, how the fuck do you know if he slept or did not sleep? How does आज तक know गाड़ी के अंदर वो क्या कर रहा था बैठ के? But they do.
परसों से चालू है ये.
Yeah. कल पूरी रात आतिक अहमद नहीं सोया is what आज तक is claiming. Who told them? I don't know. But
I mean, I'm sure the reporters, I'm sure they'll have some jailer who they're friends with or
there's
something.
3-4 people inside the car. There's the driver, there's Atiq Ahmed, because it's a car at end of the day. तो गाड़ी के अंदर क्या कर रहा है वो तो 4 लोगों को ही पता है.
No, वो जो भी उसके साथ बैठा होगा वो like reporter, सर वो सोया क्या? Like, no, I don't think so. Like, breaking news.
रुक check
Atiq
करता हूँ.
Ahmed did not sleep the entire night.
Even if he was trying to sleep, ये लोग का चिल्लाना सुन के उड़ जाता होगा वो बार-बार. Like just screaming near his ears कि आतिक अहमद आप सो रहे हो क्या? तू चिल्लाएगा तो नहीं सो पाऊंगा.
Oh God.
But this is actually a good technique then, right, for the media to ensure that actually a convict reaches the place.
Right.
Just follow him, cover it completely, and then police कुछ कर ही नहीं पाएगा.
Yeah. So you are saying that the media should do one thing right in their life.
The media is saving him, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. See, that is what the media is doing a good job. They're actually ensuring justice.
They're
Weirdly enough.
Yeah. If ensuring justice is the right term, but yeah.
Yeah. Karan, any last comments before I go to break?
No, I'm good. You can go.
So thank you so much guys for listening to this. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. This is a current affairs podcast that we do on a weekly basis, and we will actually have more journalists on this show. We've been trying to get a lot of journalists. We have had some in the past. We'll get some in the future.
And if you are a journalist, then please come on our show.
ऐसे like journalist ऐसे ही आ जाएगा.
Open,
please come journalist. Open. ये 2 blank spaces दिख रहे हैं ना? यहाँ पे
these are
बैठ
for
सकते
you.
हो फिर. Yeah. But I'll just take a quick break, and then after the break I will have my story and Karan will have his. Hello and welcome back to page 10. It's time for my story. Now, my story is also being talked about a lot in the media, and it has to do with Rahul Gandhi. Before this episode was recording, Nikhil told me कि 3 episodes से हम Rahul Gandhi discuss कर रहे हैं.
This is the third Rahul Gandhi story in this month. Like the past 2 have also featured a story about Rahul Gandhi.
Rahul Gandhi.
It's time to address. I think it's time to address us like taking money from Congress. By the way, at this point, you know, we should be like.
Really?
Yeah.
Has anyone accused us of that?
No,
Nikhil?
I mean
not yet, but
not yet anyway. But I think we should just like preemptively address it. Like yes, we have been getting
like
money
whatever
from
100 rupees Congress has, they're spending it on us. Yes.
Yeah.
Karan is saying the opposite. He's like, yes, सबको funding मिल रहा है.
Yeah.
Congress.
I'm just saying हम लोगों को मिल रहा है.
इलेक्शन लड़ने का पैसा नहीं है उनके, हमको मिल रहा है, फंडिंग मिल रहा है.
भाई रिकॉर्डिंग में क्यों बता रहा है? मुझे बता देता फिर मैं पैसे मांग लेता तेरे से थोड़ा सा. मुझे तो कुछ नहीं मिला अभी तक. थोड़ा आने दो इस साइड भी.
All those IVM birthday cakes have been sponsored by Congress. No.
Anyway, to the story, guys.
Yes.
So Rahul Gandhi has been disqualified as the member of parliament from Wayanad.
Right.
He was a Lok Sabha member, if you know, and he was disqualified last week. Now, this saga basically starts in 2018 during an election rally where Rahul Gandhi goes and he makes a very interesting comment about which now people are calling the Modi surname controversy, right?
Yeah.
So the Modi surname controversy is that Rahul Gandhi goes to an election rally and says that Lalit Modi and Nirav Modi bhag gaye, and they share a surname with Narendra Modi, and so ये सब चोर लोगों के surname नरेंद्र मोदी मोदी क्यों होते हैं, not Narendra मोदी क्यों होते हैं, and अभी पता नहीं और कितने मोदी आएंगे फ्यूचर में ऐसे. Right. So that was the comment that he made. So there is a fellow who basically took most offense on this. His name is Parnesh Modi. He is a BJP politician. He said that he has been defamed because wo chor nahi hai.
Oh, he has been defamed.
So yeah, he said he has been defamed.
Oh, okay.
And he said that the entire Modi community as a result has been defamed.
Okay.
Because he said that his last name is Modi, and therefore Rahul Gandhi basically called him a chore, and therefore defamation case. Right? Now, he filed a criminal defamation case against Rahul Gandhi in Surat. Now, what happens is that अभी तक तो कुछ नहीं हुआ उसका. Now it's 2023, and अभी hearing हुआ उस case का last week, where Rahul Gandhi went there and the court asked, "Will you apologize for this?" He said, "No, I didn't say anything wrong." So they're like, "Fine, 2 years jail." So now 2 years jail for basically saying that the Modi surname controversy, as they are calling it, right? Now what happens immediately after that is that he gets a disqualification notice from the Lok Sabha for his MP seat. Now, just wanted to explain that a little bit quickly, right? So there is a law which is Section 8 of the Representation of People's Act, which says that if an sitting MP or an MLA essentially gets convicted for a case that involves imprisonment of more than 2 years, then they will immediately lose their seat. And plus, for 6 years after the completion of the sentence, they will not be able to contest any sort of elections. Right? Which means that Rahul Gandhi effectively, at this point of time, cannot contest for 8 years. Which is basically 2 years of his sentence completion and 6 years from then. So, abhi ke election mein and next election mein he can't stand for elections.
Oh, he can't even contest elections. Okay.
He can't contest. That's basically what the law says. Now, essentially that can be challenged, etc. वो भी हो सकता है. There have been other cases which have been challenged whenever this ruling has happened, and there are different results. So हमको इसमें क्या होगा पता नहीं अभी तक, at least, right? So Lok Sabha Secretariat issues a notice right after this conviction, informing everyone and plus Rahul Gandhi that he has been disqualified. Now everybody is sort of blaming the Lok Sabha Secretariat and the speaker for immediately doing this because अभी तो challenge करने वाले हैं, फिर उसके बाद तुम कर सकते थे, etc. But actually it's a function of notifying. So disqualification happened the moment he was sentenced for 2 years. Right, so these guys are only telling people. So Lok Sabha Secretariat को यहाँ पे blame करने की कोई बात ही नहीं है, right? They're just following procedure. Right, so that was the defamation case. This is the disqualification. Now there is another very interesting sort of thing that happened right after that, which is the press conference.
Yeah.
So high drama, bunch of things happen. He does a press conference. Rahul Gandhi does a press conference, which is basically bunch of people are asking him questions. So you did this comment. Now you're convicted. So why are you insulting all OBCs? So basically now what is happening is that BJP has spun it around saying that by insulting Modi, the last name, he has basically insulted an entire community of OBCs, therefore all OBCs. That is what their positioning on this is. So now a bunch of journalists are going to Rahul Gandhi and asking, why are you insulting all OBCs? So that was the whole crux of the press conference. One, what are you going to do about your disqualification? Are you going to challenge it? He said yes, that is a legal thing that is going to happen, and I don't want to comment on that. Second, I think 3 journalists asked him, I saw the whole press conference, 3 journalists asked him the same question, which is कि बीजेपी ने ऐसे बोला है कि आपने सब ओबीसीज को आपने इंसल्ट कर दिया, तो आपका क्या कहना है? So first time someone asked him that question, he was like, listen, भारत जोड़ो यात्रा में I've been saying this constantly that भाईचारे से रहना है, सब कम्युनिटीज को साथ में रहना है, जोड़ना है सबको, भारत जोड़ो यात्रा है वो. So I have been giving a message of unity throughout. So this doesn't make sense. I have never insulted or did not intend to insult any community particularly. Second time that question is asked, he says that, listen, you need to understand this is a distraction, that I have been asking uncomfortable questions about Adani and Modi's relationship. I have been asking this question in parliament. I have been giving speeches. I've been asking to give speeches in parliament about this. They have not allowed me. So they are scared of this. I have seen it in the eyes of Prime Minister how scared he is of me speaking in parliament. Therefore, they are bringing this defamation case on me, right? Second time he says this.
Correct.
Third time someone asks him again कि अरे बीजेपी ने बोला है कि आपने ओबीसी को इंसल्ट कर दिया. Next he's like, अच्छा why do you keep asking me this question? उधर भी आया. You are a BJP worker. So he accuses the journalist of being a BJP worker. कि why are you even pretending to be a pressman? Just put a BJP flag on your chest and then just ask me that question, no? And then because there was some laughter around, like from the journalists, I presume. And then basically he says that हवा निकल गई, तुम्हारी हवा निकल गई अब, is what Rahul Gandhi tells the journalist. Now, because of this, another controversy has started, which is basically how Rahul Gandhi does not respect the press at all. So now, Mumbai Press Club, which is basically the greatest press club of them all, allegedly, they basically issued a statement saying that you have humiliated a journalist and you need to apologize. So, that is the entire story.
I mean, at this point, Rahul Gandhi should just go to Shirdi or something, man. He's like, everybody's coming. Everybody just seems to be coming after him, know what to do now.
Yeah, na, wo bhi to kiya
Even
usne.
the guys who are supposed to be on his side.
Like he did pilgrimage and all also. Usne kiya. Like, what do you think? Modi ji karte hain Kedarnath mein jaake cave mein tapasya. Rahul Gandhi also does tapasya with the same shawl and with the same beard or the same position, same cave, everything same.
Do you think he's supposed to serve this 2-year prison sentence? Because from what I understand, 2-year prison sentences you can opt to not serve in exchange for either a
so he immediately
fine.
got bail in this. So like he was sentenced and immediately got bail. From the district court of जहाँ पे उसको ये sentencing मिला था. So obviously like the criminal defamation case है. We have to understand that the defamation law in our country is absolutely broken. It's extremely arbitrary, right? For example, just one example. There's this lady called Khushbu Sundar. Have you heard of her?
No.
Khushbu Sundar used to be a Congress person and is now a BJP person, right? She said the following thing in February 15th, 2018. यहाँ मोदी, वहाँ मोदी, जहाँ देखो मोदी, लेकिन ये क्या? हर मोदी के आगे भ्रष्टाचार सरनेम लगा हुआ है, तो बात को नहीं समझो, मोदी मतलब भ्रष्टाचार. Let's change the meaning of Modi to Modi corruption. Suits better. Nirav Lalit Narendra Modi corruption. So that was her tweet in 2018. This was before Rahul Gandhi's speech in 20. By the way, it's same year tha, but like इसने पहले बोला था, right? Now same lines, same thing which Rahul Gandhi said in the speech. Same thing, right?
More
now,
direct, if
Khushbu
anything.
Sundar, more direct, right? Now Khushbu Sundar is basically has turned around and she tweeted recently saying that, oh, great thing that Rahul Gandhi has been jailed or whatever. Like he's insulted an entire community and whatever. So now, then people fished out her old tweet and they're like, "Arey boss, but what, you also said the same thing. What is happening?" And she's like, so what? I was in that party, so I was saying it. Now I'm in this party, so I'm saying this. So she's also like, what? Yeah, of course.
तो कल को राहुल गांधी आ गया इधर तो फिर माफ.
Yeah, I mean,
like
so no, but the thing is that if this Pranesh Modi, what was his name? Sorry, Parnesh Modi was insulted by Rahul Gandhi's statement, that whatever, so he should be insulted by this tweet also, right?
Yeah.
So basically, then Khushbu Sundar should be in jail as well.
100%. Yeah.
So हमारे यहाँ पे ना डेफेमेशन केस थोड़ा ऐसे सिलेक्टिव फाइल करते हैं. एक तो व्हाई इज इट क्रिमिनल डेफेमेशन, राइट? There should be civil defamation, right? Which is like, ठीक है, तुमने मेरा reputation, you have harmed my reputation for such and such amount. It has caused me actual losses in the real life. So therefore compensate me for it.
Yeah.
That is the civil defamation format, right? Criminal defamation is like कि तू तो जेल जाएगा, right? 2 साल के लिए जेल जाएगा for saying whatever. So it's extremely arbitrary. It's extremely bizarre. Anybody can file a case against Rahul Gandhi in, let's say, 6 cities across India, and he will have to travel to each of these for the hearings. And that is one way you can bankrupt someone also, by the way.
Of course.
And that has happened, like with like Maheshwar Peri, etc. people. There are cases against me, defamation cases. 112 crore, I think.
112 crore?
Yeah, crore. Like and that was a civil defamation. Usme bhi criminal elements the. I don't understand what happens. Sometimes they file both. Sometimes it's just one. Sometimes it's just criminal. Again, super arbitrary.
Yeah.
So that is one point here, that the criminal defamation law is completely broken. Oh, also, by the way, sorry, guys, I wanted to tell you. So, way back in 2017, I was working with Tathagat Satpathy, who had the most number of cases against him in the entire country.
What?
What
More than
kind?
Papu Yadav.
What kind of cases?
Yeah, defamation cases. He was the
Oh,
editor
okay.
of a newspaper.
Oh,
So,
that makes
whenever
sense.
one of his reporters did something, he was included in the case.
Of course, yeah.
So जब भी criminals वो आता है ना list आता है 10 like 10 most criminal MPs in the country, Tathagat Satpathy was on top.
Number one, yeah.
Oh,
And then
God.
Pappu Yadav, who actually is allegedly committed murders, was after him. So basically he was annoyed by the whole thing. Every other month he's getting a defamation case. So we decided to rewrite the defamation law. So in case any of the listeners are interested, we have done this thing called speech bill. So you can go check it out. We have written an entire defamation law after taking public consulting and filed it as a private member's bill. So it is available for all to see.
Oh, where's the link? Is the link in
I'll
the
share the
description?
link. Nikhil.
Link will be in
I'll
the
share
description.
the link in the
Oh,
linky
okay.
in the description.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like, ek to, I'm very happy about the fact that Rahul Gandhi is back in news. I think he had become way too irrelevant in the news because ek to jab bhi news mein aata tha, he was always in news for some stupid reason, which was either cooked up by the BJP or some other opposition, or he genuinely did say something very stupid, which ended up getting him. But for now, he's in the news, and he's in the news for very arguably good reasons, like at least strong reasons, if not good reasons. Like this dispute, the first thing that he said was the Cambridge speech, right? That he first came into news for. Again, very clearly puts BJP a little bit on the backseat. If you are, so much into what Rahul Gandhi is trying to say, it means that you're giving him the importance that you did not give him all this while. That your attempts at trivializing Rahul Gandhi for all this time are now finally either coming to an end or are being unsuccessful. That now you have to take cognizance of everything that he's saying. Then now this thing happened where he has been disqualified from the parliament. Now, interesting thing is people like Sadhvi Pragya don't get disqualified from the parliament that easily.
Yeah.
But sure, Rahul Gandhi has to get disqualified from the parliament. So I would also like to know a little bit about how does that work? How does a Sadhvi Pragya, who's firstly a terror accused and secondly said clearly supported a literal murderer in the parliament, no matter which side of the story you are on with Mahatma Gandhi, the fact of the matter is he was murdered.
Was she convicted
Yeah,
though? I don't think she was.
No, she's
that's
accused
what
of
I
it,
said. I don't
but
think
she-
she's accused.
So,
She's
but
accused
Rahul
of it.
Gandhi got
Convicted, yeah.
convicted. That's why he's banned.
Yeah, but she said that Godse was right in the parliament. She supported a
That's fine.
criminal and murderer in the parliament.
That comes under free speech. I mean, I
Right.
genuinely don't think she should be punished for saying that Savarkar, whatever Godse, whatever they say. Again, I don't think people should be punished for saying things.
Fair.
Period. Right.
Yeah.
And in parliament, you're allowed to say these things because that is one forum where you cannot have any consequences essentially because you're a member of parliament.
Oh,
you
okay.
have free speech.
But then,
वहाँ पे
had
बोल.
Rahul Gandhi said this in the parliament, would the situation be different?
It would be because then the
Interesting.
speaker's office would be involved in this, right? So, like, because he said it in an election speech, वहाँ पे.
So they-
For example, remember when we were covering the Adani saga, he
Yeah.
had given this entire speech, right, where basically he accused Adani of like relationship with Modi. Why is Adani going at the same time that Modi is going to foreign countries? Why does he get contracts? His speech was expunged, right? Parts of his speeches was expunged, right? Now, wahan pe, the thing is that nobody can actually file a case against him for saying these things, but he was asked to prove and give proof of what he said
Okay.
because he has to substantiate what was said. Because he was talking about someone who is outside the parliament. So you have to also substantiate. So then, the speaker's office asked for it. Apparently, he also gave them the proof, media reports, etc. about what he said. Speech remains expunged. वो कोई reinstate हुआ नहीं, right? But then that became a big issue for him also to basically raise all the time. So the one thing that you said, which I think is important. So Rahul Gandhi used to come in the news for saying stupid things.
Yeah.
Right? That is the perception that was built. Still, that happens, which is that Cambridge speech thing was extremely stupid. Like the whole controversy was
Stupid, yeah.
idiotic. But apparently, he did say at one point in Cambridge that US and UK need to take note of what is happening in India about how human rights are being violated. I don't know exactly what he said, but he did say something to that
degree,
extent.
yeah.
In another exchange, he said, when someone asked him, do you want US and UK to intervene in this? He said, no, actually, this is our internal matter. matter. We have to solve it ourselves. I was just highlighting that there are violations happening, etc. Whatever. So he said both things, by the way. So now BJP took the first part and of course uska hawa bana diya, and they disrupted parliament, because also the fact that if he is allowed to speak in parliament, he'll again talk about Adani.
Yeah.
That's he's just one tune now, which is basically 20,000 crore रुपए अडानी के शेल कंपनीज में आया, कहां से आया, किसका पैसा है, why was it invested in defense of this country? That is what he said in the press conference like 15 times also.
Yeah.
Ki, don't go by this distraction, tell me where the 20,000 crore came from.
Yeah.
So he has this also now, which is pehle he would get bogged down by the stupidity of it, which is like the whole comment ki arey insult kar diya, whatever. Now he's like, no, that's a distraction. This is the real matter which we need to talk about. So I think that is the big change that we are seeing, and he's saying it very confidently as well.
Yeah. Now he has this sort of narrative where he can say that I'm being silenced finally, and like, you know, एक तो वो जाता नहीं था पार्लियामेंट इतने टाइम तक, अब थोड़ा थोड़ा जाने लगा था, उसमें भी डिस्क्वालीफाई कर दिया. तो मतलब एक तो है नहीं, जैसे कहते हैं ना गरीबी में आटा गीला, वैसा हो गया है उसका. But now he at least has this narrative that I am being silenced to some degree. Now it also, at least it feels like he's being suppressed and being stopped from saying things.
Yeah. And also this is actually a very significant event because like if you saw the reactions to this, it's very important. Akhilesh Yadavs said something very interesting, right? So he was being asked about this outside, I think somewhere in Delhi only. He said that Congress needs to promote regional parties in the front so that we can fight the BJP together.
Yeah.
This after Mamata Banerjee, Arvind Kejriwal, BRS, basically TMC, AAP, CPIM, a bunch of other parties, SP, they have all come out in support of Congress. They're doing marches together now. Shiv Sena also, old Shiv Sena. They have also come out in support of Congress. Earlier, they were very like, maybe not, especially TMC. TMC wanted to form a front, opposition front, but exclude Congress from it. Now, Mamata Banerjee is actually signaling that actually maybe, you know, maybe abhi thoda sa saath mein kuch to kar sakte hain, maybe. So, and actually Rahul Gandhi in the press conference was very happy. You can see, like in parts, he was being asked कि अरे बाकी के opposition parties like अच्छा हुआ ना, अच्छा हुआ suspend किया मेरे को, हमको weapon दिया है, हथियार दिया है हमको बीजेपी ने, because it has united the entire opposition and I thank the opposition for supporting me. So basically now he has become a lightning rod.
Yeah.
He's like, this is great for me. I mean, I have all the sympathy around. So he I mean, internally also Congress was trying to figure out कि alliances कैसे form करना है, whatever. With this event, I feel like that becomes easier for 2024. Interesting days ahead.
He's already got a warning from Shiv Sena to not use Savarkar's name in vain, by the way.
Also happened.
That he said, I think he said 2 days, or in the same press conference, I think that's what he said. Like basically,
he essentially said, I won't apologize, I'm not Savarkar.
Yeah, just to people who don't know, that's because apparently Savarkar wrote a lot of letters for pardon when he was in Andaman. So I think that's a reference to that he's saying that I'm not Savarkar, I'm not going to apologize. And of course, Shiv Sena, as in Shiv Sena 1.0.
Shiv Sena Uddhav Thackeray, as it's known.
Old Shiv Sena has decided like, oh no, you guys, you can stay a Gandhi, but don't say anything about Savarkar now. So there's a lot of, see, honestly,
No, that is also because, you know, it's very interesting. Again, third random controversy which started, which was exactly this, right? Which is, he was asked, will you apologize? He's like, no, I'm not Savarkar. I'm a Gandhi. I will not apologize. So, Shinde ji, new Shiv Sena, took offense. And he's like, Savarkar is our idol. Savarkar is our, we worship Savarkar. How dare you insult Savarkar?
Yeah.
One. Then Uddhav Thackeray comes out saying, I mean, don't say anything about Savarkar, but we support Rahul Gandhi. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah,
conditional support.
Sanjay Raut also today only, I think yesterday, whatever. He's today only he said that I intend on talking to him, but it's not a good thing that he chose to take Savarkar's name.
So it's usually, if it's said in the evenings, then it's Uddhav Thackeray, and if it's said in the mornings, it's Sanjay Raut. So just clearing confusion there. Yeah. तो शाम को उद्धव साहब का रैली होता है और फिर सुबह 10 बजे प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस होता है. That's what we as the citizens of Maharashtra have been treated to for the last 2.5 years.
So before we move on to current story, I just wanted to give you guys a random bit of trivia also related to this. So of course, Rahul Gandhi has been asking कि ये 20,000 crore रुपए offshore company में कैसे आया, right? So there are a bunch of questions I was looking up in Parliament which were asked. So one of the questions was कि what action has the government taken against offshore companies and the people related there? Can you give us a list about it, right? So the government responds, okay? So this question was asked by a CPIM MP in Rajya Sabha, John Brittus. Now the government said in a reply, the details regarding offshore shell companies owned by Indian citizens is not available. And then they were asked whether it has acted to collect the data, right? They said that offshore companies are not defined under the Indian Act, so the question does not arise that we will collect data on it.
Yeah, no surprises.
So basically, the government is now saying कि offshore companies are not defined. तो क्या ही बात कर रहे हो तुम?
Yeah, what is what is all that
What
about
is
black
this?
money coming back?
क्या बात करते हैं?
सबके
Does not
अकाउंट में
arise.
14 lakh. Look, honestly, I mean, that's not gonna happen. You will never have that money come back from offshore companies. Offshore companies exist for a reason. They are there to protect all this unaccounted for wealth, and it goes both ways, right? Today you, tomorrow me. So if today somebody's offshore accounts have been exposed, you know that there'll be people waiting in the background just holding on to that grudge, and then when that other guy comes into power, then iska bhi sab nikal dega. But that can't happen.
Yeah.
You need to have that quid pro quo, otherwise you're not going to.
Otherwise system कैसे चलेगा?
Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise
Then how
stock
will the-
market कैसे चलेगा?
Yeah, how will the
Otherwise
system
क्या ही
work?
चलेगा? That's true.
That's
Okay, let's move on to current story.
okay. Are we taking a break or going directly?
Let's take a break. Guys, one more break. ले लो एक और break. Hello and welcome back to page 10, the part 3 of this episode, special episode because I'm hosting it and Abbas is not here. And Abbas ka happy birthday. So happy birthday, Abbas.
Happy birthday.
Next story for Karan. Karan, please go on.
Okay, so I have a story coming in from France. It's the famous pension reform protests that have been raging in Paris and I think around 20 or 200 other cities in France. Sorry about that randomly varied number, but from what I'm reading, multiple sources have multiple numbers over here. Apparently, there's been 300,000 to 400,000 people that are demonstrating, according to the police. But according to the unions, there are more than 1 million people protesting. Now, just to recap very quickly, this is because of the pension reform, as I mentioned earlier. So, the reason this happened is because Emmanuel Macron has decided to raise the retirement age in France from 62 to 64 years old. This has, of course, multiple sort of repercussions. Mainly, people have to work longer for a smaller pension, and as it is, France has one of the lowest pension amounts or pension reforms in Europe, and they also have a very, very backlogged sort of economic situation because of this. Now, in Jan is when Macron, the Bonn government or the Macron government had suggested these reforms. But I think less than 2 weeks ago, or I think 2 weeks ago, they invoked an Article 49.3, which is basically Article 49, paragraph 3, which says that any sort of bill that has been presented in France's parliament or the government, the president can effectively kind of push it through without getting the majority without getting the approval from the rest of the government. Now the problem,
like their version of ordinance route.
Yeah, now I don't know if India has any similar sort of thing, considering
We do.
Yeah, because we do have a lot of what do I say, constitutional elements that come from France. Also, I think liberté, égalité and fraternité comes from French. In our preamble, that comes from France's constitution also. But anyway, so point is that this has happened. Now the thing is, in the France's constitution, the way it goes is, if a government has pushed a law through using 49.3, there is no other recourse. It has to stand. The only other way where this can't go through is by overthrowing the government. There is no other way. Either the government goes or this law passes through. Now that is also partly the reason why there's so many people in the streets, because they know that the only solution now is to overthrow the government. So that's basically what's happening right now. So you're seeing everything from labor strikes, you're seeing garbage that has been like lined up across Paris streets, a lot of violence, lot of property damage, lot of vandalism, the usual everything that's happening in France right now. Nobody knows when this is going to end. First of all, there is no clear sort of, what do I say, like an opposition that is rising over here, while they do have a very strong sort of civil unrest that is going on in the streets, but kind of, it's France, man. They know how to demonstrate if there's been any sort of how do I say, if they know how to vent their fury, they know how to vent their fury. So that's one thing France
by rioting, basically.
By rioting, they're experts at it. They've been doing it for 300 years.
Yeah.
So now that's where we are right now. There's been a lot of blockades. There's also I think they've blocked the Eurostar. They've blocked a few highways. It's basically quite a grim situation in France.
So what is the government like? Is it going to back down? What are the reactions
No chance.
from there?
No. In fact, I think 2 days ago, Macron has released a statement saying that there's not going to be any other recourse for this. This is going through, whether you guys like it or not. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what he said. Whether you guys like it or not, this is going to go through.
Oh damn! Didn't they also blockade like King Charles?
So he postponed his trip.
Okay.
King Charles and whoever Queen Consort, they were supposed to move. They were supposed to visit France there for a general visit that they do. But they've kind of postponed it, and that's a big deal, because for having a royal family to come in and then postpone it, it's quite log kya kahenge. It's embarrassing, to quote Meghnad's favorite line. But
log kya kahenge.
Right now France is in a very bad state. If any of you are traveling to France in the near future, please take care. Just make sure you're following whatever travel rules are being set by the consulates over there. Keep numbers in handy. They're not that they're attacking anybody else, like they're not attacking any other sort of nationalities or anything, but just France is right now quite a what's that, cinder block? Was that word for it? So it's quite a fiery situation over there. And France being France, I think just in general as tourists we need to be a little bit more careful about how we behave and what we do over there. But so hopefully now we are pretty much in the middle of all of this. There is no end in sight as yet. Right now, the protests are pretty much happening full on over there. As Nikhil mentioned recently, with the King Charles visit also not happening, I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on the government to kind of resolve this somehow. There's already a lot of opposition MPs that telling them, to kind of the growing violence is also not good. There's a lot of fallout that's happening because of that. So one good video that came out was also that some of the cops are also now joining the protesters. So
I don't know if that's good news, Karan.
Yeah, I mean,
I was also wondering.
No, I mean, it's a good. See, the thing is, these guys, most of the violence has been happening is because of police brutality at the end of the day. And some of the violence, I mean, I think there was a door of a massive town hall that was set on fire.
Okay.
In retaliation to police brutality again. So now there's all of this happening. So it's just like a very heartwarming sight to see the oppressors joining the oppressed. And so that's where we are at with France. So if you guys have any other sort of thoughts on this, please do join in.
France and its revolution, man, I tell you.
Yeah.
Never ending. It's
a revolutionary country in general.
Yeah.
This is not the first time this is happening.
But just one more question I had. So is there like a movement from the right wing on this now? Which is basically, are they trying to capitalize on this sort of protest?
No, I don't think so. I think France's
you said
government...
that the opposition
So
opposition, there is nobody in the opposition right now?
there's nobody who's actually like taking charge of this as from what I'm reading. And as far as I know, like right now we're still in a pretty much like kind of in the middle part of this where everything is up in the air. Nobody knows what's happening. How is this going to end? The government wants to push this through. So unless there is a special, see, like I said, the only way of this not going through at this point is if the government is overthrown. So now there is a lot of like kind of back and forth happening as to how do we get this done. The funniest thing over here is that Iran condemned France's repression of the protests.
Right.
Because they've actually called on the French government to respect human rights. So know when if Iran is doing that, means somewhere you have fucked up. So yeah. So anyway, that's a short and sweet update from my side. Hopefully, if I'm here next, I will bring many more updates if we get any.
Yes, our international correspondent.
International correspondent. Before we end this, I like Nikhil had to address some comments that came his way.
Give me 1 second.
Go on, Nikhil.
Yes, I'll bring them up.
So there were some comments left on YouTube.
Okay. On which episode?
Nikhil of certain things.
Yeah, not accusing as such, but they had certain disagreements with what I had to say about things, which I get. Yeah. So one of the things that was I covered. Firstly, I covered the Appapada fires that happened in Bombay over the last week, where a certain section of a large slum settlement here in Mumbai was caught on fire, and a lot of like 1,500 or so families were rendered homeless overnight and were under the weather. So that was the story that I covered last week, on which, by the way, we don't have any developments yet, which is very surprising. I don't know when there will be development about this, but no major developments on that story as such. As it stands, there's an SIT committee that is investigating into the matter. That's where it stands. So I do have a comment from that video which says democracy unfortunately is not suitable for the poor. They need to luck out over 2 to 3 generations, and also without these slums, how will the rich find their household help? I'm like, it's not like, it sounds very Machiavellian if you think about it, and I don't entirely agree with the fact that democracy is not suitable for the poor. I think ulta, the middle classes are the ones who are the most detached from the democracy, not the poor and the rich, because the poor are dependent on the majority on the democracy, and the rich sort of need the democracy to sustain their richness, because if democracy fucks up, they'll lose their riches. What happened in USSR, essentially, lot of oligarchs lost a lot of money because they could not sustain a democracy. So wahan pe wo panga ho jata hai, and the poor are dependent because they are the ones who are most affected by every policy that is designed by a democratic government. So unka relationship hai iske saath. And when it comes to without these slums, where will the rich find their household help? Again, man, not entirely true. We just exploit this system because it exists. Does not mean that this system imperatively must exist in every situation, because it's not true that there have to be slums for people to find household help, and not all of household help lives in slums, and not everybody who lives in slum works as a household help also. Poverty is a much bigger problem. Like, as I said in that episode also, I also have a closer background from there. None of my parents ever worked as household helps. My father was a government employee, and that's how he broke out of it. I do sort of agree that they need 2 to 3 generations to break out of poverty, but I will still say that democracy is not necessarily designed against the poor. I think it is designed to be in favor of the poor. It is exploited by the rich, and that's why it feels like it's designed against the poor. So that was one comment, and the other was, I sort of disagree with this other comment. I actually disagree with my fellow panelist on that. Jealous Me was the fellow panelist, and I agree with this comment. I read this again. She does not find Rahul Gandhi to be hot, and I kind of disagree there. Like, come on.
Wow, now we're getting to the real issues, man. Over here.
Come on. I mean, the Cambridge speech.
Like page 10 mein random controversy, is Rahul Gandhi hot or not?
We should do a poll on social media and kind of put this to
in
rest.
the comments below, guys. No, social media pe to karo hi.
On YouTube, can't you do a poll on YouTube?
You can, right?
Yeah. Let's do a poll on YouTube.
Yeah. And also drop it in the comments below. I will respond personally from the All About Now.
This is literally what page 10 is for. These are the polls you won't find on page 1. They'll be on page 10. So we have to get these polls out.
This is exactly what it's for.
This is the Sudoku.
Yeah.
This
We
is the
should raise
political
this issue.
Sudoku.
No, we
Yes.
should raise this issue because, ठीक है, सावरकर को insult कर दिया, OBC को insult कर दिया, whatever. But is he hot or not?
Wait, who is hotter,
Important.
Savarkar or Gandhi?
Okay,
Rahul
let's
Gandhi.
not.
Come
Okay.
on.
No. पाटिल जी, आप महाराष्ट्र में हो, पाटिल जी.
Yes.
थोड़ा सा चड्डी में रहो. Literally and figuratively.
Literally and yes, a full pant, but okay. Not quite. Okay, no, not going there. Anyways, so yeah, that was the episode for this week.
That was the comments and that was the episodes. Thank you, Nikhil. Thank you, Karan. That was page 10. If you like this, please like and subscribe on YouTube and also share this with your friends because this podcast is meant for people who don't follow the news and we just want to make it a little interesting in our own noob ways, in our own basic bitch opinions that we give all the time. So please do share it with your friends. Tell them that there is this amazing current affairs podcast that everybody should listen. You can also write to us on allaboutnow@pratilipi.com. Leave your comments if you want to write long letters to Nikhil about how unfair his observations are, about how not hot Rahul Gandhi is.
Yes.
All the things. Please do that. Also, if you want to wish Abbas happy birthday so that when he comes back from his drunken state, we can then show him those emails and make him happy.
Yeah.
So thank you and see you next week.